Hello and welcome to a brand new Five Heart podcast. Coordination.com, YouTube, live on a Thursday night. As I say, you have a lot of options for entertainment. I appreciate you spending some time with me. I'm your host, Greg Mahachko, and all alone skis tonight. Of course, there was no show last week. I didn't know there was not going to be a show until I'm looking at my phone, waiting for a link, waiting for a scheduled post, something like that. I finally said to John, I said, "Is there a show?" He's like, "No." I said, okay. I was out of town for a work conference. Let me tell you, Dallas, Texas in July in a suit is brutal. Heat index is close to 120 degrees. All that said, I'd still rather be hot than be cold. So I save up all my complaints during the summer and I unleash it on winter. I hate winter. Hopefully you hate winter as well. But I'm going to have a great show tonight. Hello, David Matney. Good evening. Roger Moore. Hello as well. Welcome back. Great to be back. Glad I arrived here safely. I don't think I told anybody this, but I didn't like ride share, but rode with a coworker from the airport in St. Louis. He had picked me up and dropped me off as my location is on the way. On the way back, he got a speeding ticket. He was going 70 to 55, and I felt a little bad, just a little bad. All right, Josh says get Todd or John on here right now. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's me. It's me until it's not me. Let's put it that way. Roger says John and Todd went way off into the cornfield last show. I'm so there's been so much that has happened since I was here with you. So I didn't get to talk about the Northwestern situation. And really, I think at this point, that particular hatchet probably is buried or don't need to necessarily dig up any fresh dirt there. Cadiddle. I'm going to go with Cadiddle 42 says, first time I've been able to watch live and not after the fact. Well, we're great. Grateful that you're here, Cadiddle. We might have to talk about that screen name, though. That sounds a little, I don't know. Fred says, hey, Greg, I hate winter, but I love the change in seasons. What?
Hi.
This is what happens when I'm reading comments. John sneaks in here. We're talking about changing seasons. Fred says he hates winter but loves the change of seasons. Josh says the change in seasons is what former head coach called it when summer left the stage and autumn comes on to start dancing. That's rough. Fred says
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I was hoping that I knew I'd missed the show last week. I didn't know that the bombshell Northwestern news would hit, but I was hoping that there was a show and that you or Patrick or somebody who had a like a V for Vendetta or Purge mask or something like that to break out. That's what Fred wanted. But John and Todd were out buying the Purge masks. Fred also says a Wild Johnston appears, buddy. Let me tell you a little about it. You don't want a Wild Johnston sneaking up on you, if you know what I mean.
I was researching. I was doing research.
John, the show pretty much writes itself. There's not a whole lot of research involved.
Well, I wasn't doing research for this show.
Oh.
I was doing research for the football season is coming up.
Very soon, actually.
And I was researching all the Big Ten teams and to do a Big Ten preview video and, going through all the other teams and what they need to do, what their problems are, which but I got engrossed in it. I'm not going to share any of it.
Are you going to expose all the other teams' weaknesses ahead of us playing them? I feel like that
Sure.
gives them too much
Yes.
time to, go back to the drawing board.
Fix their weaknesses.
Yeah. Can we make fun of Northwestern just a couple more times?
Yeah, we can.
All right, James. James Boardman says the tunnel walk against Nebraska in October should be car washed by Rolls Royce.
It's not a bad idea, but the people that run things have too much niceties about them and too much, professional attitude about them to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's going to be ongoing for a while. People just keep coming forward with more lawsuits, and I guess you can't blame. The Athletic put out a very long article today. I don't know how many people subscribe to the Athletic. It is probably the best publication, I think, for college football, honestly. But it's less now that Andy Staples left and went to On3. But it was a very long article that talked about the beginnings of this stuff and how long it's been going on. And it's just, I don't know. It just I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand how this gets to this point. It's just kind of fruity.
Oh, I don't know if you're allowed to say it's that. No. Let's see here. Fred says, to get serious for a moment, I think Northwestern will finally get over the hump this season.
For the first time in many years, according to the Athletic.
Look, I'm in downstate Illinois. I know I'm not the only one of the Chatterfields who lives at downstate Illinois, but like nobody outside of Chicago cares about Northwestern. Like it's not news down here. It's news to us, in Coronation and these circles because we follow it, but I really don't think, maybe they're talking about it on sports talk radio out of St. Louis, but I listen primarily to podcasts and music, so I don't, bad sports fan me, I guess. I don't know.
You know what I don't get? After I read the Athletic article, they were talking, this started all the way back in the Gary Barnett days when they were going to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And the idea, this is a concept that's been around for a long, long time. The idea that you take your football players to some remote places and you make them focus on them, nothing, no TV, no radio, no nothing, no phones these days. This actually happened in Nebraska, believe it or not.
Tell me more.
Camp Curtis, my hometown is Curtis, Nebraska, and there used to be a Camp Curtis, and the Nebraska football players would come out. And Curtis is, I want to call it a high school. Let's call it a high school because I can't explain it otherwise. People would literally send their kids to live in Curtis to go to high school. And they had dorms and everything. So the football team would use this during the summer. I believe it was under Bill Jennings. And it was a similar thing. The most famous one of these types of camps was Paul Bear Bryant, Junction City, Texas, where he took his team for 2 weeks and basically tried to kill all of them to see who would be the toughest and the strongest. And you can't, you've been in Texas last week. I was in Texas last week, the week before. You can't just stick guys out in the heat without any water and think that you're making them tougher. That's just stupid. But this is the kind of stuff. And I read this article about how, they just started doing nude stuff at this camp in Kenosha, Wisconsin, like nude pull-ups. They had people do nude pull-ups, and then the linemen would stand naked in the shower and make guys rub against them as they went by. And one of the people in the article literally said, well, you put a guys out in the country with nothing else to do. What do you think's going to happen? And I read that line and I thought, there is some kind of bro existence out there that I wasn't a part of. I don't get it. If you put me out in the country, I am not just going to take my clothes off and do nude pull-ups. Sorry.
I don't.
Even when I was 20.
No, I look, maybe it's because I've never had a body to be proud of. But it's not, it's not something that's in my, I don't know. It wouldn't be my first, second, third, or 100th choice.
Yeah.
I
kind of weird. All right. Where were we going?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, John. We have a litany of exciting topics on this. I didn't know you were going to be here, so I was just going to start reading things. So, John,
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Are you?
Of course. Well, first of all, it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face. Was that James Taylor song? Ever I see your smiling face,
Oh my
I have to smile
God.
myself because I.
Want to rub my nude body against you? Don't do it. Don't say it. Let's
No,
move on.
no. Okay. Well, let's. All right. We're already getting some questions. Let's just dive right into it. Blaine is looking forward to opinions on the Hall of Fame inductees. And he says it seems Taylor Martinez, aka T Magic, is not so popular among some fans like Todd.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
We have more.
Patrick's here.
John's alive.
It's like a party.
How is everybody?
What is this? What is this?
It's been a long day,
Look
John.
excited to be here. Look excited to be here. Damn it.
In his defense, in Patrick's defense, that is, he just got off of work
Kind of.
like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. And I might get called back on, so.
Really?
My boss is in Tokyo right now, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of those things.
Yeah.
What time is it in Tokyo?
Oh, like 10:30, 11, something like that, a.m.
Ugh.
I think Blaine Cole is in Japan, isn't he?
I think so.
One of our regulars, Blaine Cole, one of the commenters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And Blaine has our first real on-topic Nebraska question of the night, Patrick. We just had read it, and then you jumped in here. Looking forward to our opinions on the Hall of Fame inductees. He says it seems Taylor's not so popular among some fans. Well, let's run down that list, or at least the list of the I don't know, I don't want to call it the modern era or anything like that. But we know that yes, Taylor Martinez is going into the Nebraska Hall of Fame, as well as Spencer Long, Kyle Vanden Bosch, Sam Koch, Troy Dumas, and David Clark among the, we'll call it the, again, modern-ish era. Now, these are voted on by members of the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like, it's not necessary. I feel like if you're like, they're the most qualified, right? Mm-hmm. To vote on it and bring new people into the fold. Guys, your thoughts.
We're zooming on this one. Okay, here's the thing. I guess you look at this list and I don't understand why. Okay, my initial thought was Taylor Martinez, really, and then you think about it. I mean, you go back and look at some of the plays that guy had, and some of the stuff he did. Taylor Martinez. Yeah, that's just
Missouri?
Amazing.
Missouri.
Just amazing games he
and
had.
We gave him, and his offensive line is why he couldn't pass a physical to get in the NFL. So we kind of owe him.
Yeah, and I think the problem with Taylor Martinez that people have is he was a Heisman candidate, like as a freshman, and then we beat him up after that, and then he never was as good because he got the shit beat out of him in his first year.
Well, James Boardman, I'm not going to say, first of all, I don't think he's wrong. I don't know if it's the only factor, but he said T Magic was never the same after his foot injury.
He was injured for like the last 3 years he was here.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, and his foot was his big one, but he had other injuries throughout that time too. I mean, the guy was constantly hobbling around. I mean, there were games he should not have played, but we didn't have anybody to honestly replace him because he was too good and too valuable to the team. I mean, I remember, years ago, I think the thing with Bo Pelini was that he hooked up all his horses behind him. There was no backup. There was nothing else. It was right. He was our offense. I mean, we had some good running backs with him too, and a couple decent receivers, but he was our offense for a good 3 years, whether he was healthy or not. I mean, like, he really did do everything for that team. I can't remember. John and Greg, you might remember better than I do. How is he looked upon as a leader within that group? Do you guys remember?
I go back to that A&M game where he disappeared into the locker room and the rumors. And, I wasn't there, so I'll just call it rumors or reports that he was on the phone with his dad, and he, I think
I think I got a text message or something. Yeah,
right. So I look at it from, if all right, I'm gonna try to. If you could put the I think maybe some of the leadership qualities of Tommy Armstrong, maybe into Taylor Martinez, I think it's maybe a different, maybe different outcome, maybe different level of success possibly.
Martinez might have been a little bit more reserved, personality-wise.
Well, yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah,
yeah, he was.
Let's say that. I wouldn't say it's definitely not bad. He was probably more reserved, if anything. So
I think more
he would not have been voted upon by these players if he wouldn't have been something. So,
and there's, and I'm not trying to like paint with broad strokes or gross generalization, but had a little bit of that like California chill mindset.
Yeah, no, I'll take that. Yeah.
Wasn't he the guy that somebody said, "What's the difference between playing on Saturday and playing on Thursday?" And his answer was, "It's a Thursday."
I think you're right.
Which you look at it and you go, that's the exact answer, but that sums him up in a nutshell. I mean, it's such a wonderful answer, but at the same time, it kind of describes him and how he was really not a great podium guy. He wasn't good at saying, "Hey, we're going to be good and the team's going to be all right and we're going to win games." And I had to go look it up. I looked up the press release on it. He won more than 30 games. That's a decent record for a guy.
First team All Big Ten as a junior in 2012. Set Nebraska season record of 3,890 yards of total offense and 33 touchdowns. Two-time team captain, freshman All-American, Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year in 2010. In all, finished his career more than 10,000 yards of total offense.
I think part of the problem is that the last 20 years, we've just been in a slow regression on souring on the team.
We have.
And
I
even
agree with that.
Highlights, we really struggle. Like, unless you're Amir Abdullah or Rex Burkhead, like, you don't... it's tough, and a quarterback's a tough position because it is very hot and cold.
Mm-hmm.
But Taylor Martinez is a better quarterback than I think people are remembering him.
Well, a couple of things that I've had this comment highlighted. Josh says TM was great on-field leader, but didn't do well at Tuesday media podium. And then Josh did follow up and said he was good, maybe not great. John Schmidt says, I remember electric runs now, but at the time, all I could remember were buckets and buckets of fumbles. And I'll say this, like, he was the guy who made the YOLO bomb, like famous. I mean, it was the arm punts. Yeah, it was the heave it up there and hope for the best.
I remember that was his secondary thing, and a lot of times those YOLO arm punts were when he was being chased around by 3 defensive linemen.
Right.
You can only scramble so many times a game before you're just like, screw it. I'm done being a hit. I mean, I'm playing kind of devil's advocate, but like he scrambled more than he should have. And it goes back to the whole, he got beat up. He really got beat up. And he still performed to that level. Right. All the statistics you just said, he got the crap kicked out of him and still performed at that level. Still got all those accolades. First team All Big 12, or Big 10, Big 12 Freshman Newcomer of the Year. I mean, he still performed after all. He played through all that. He played, and he never talked about it. He never complained, from what I remember. He was a trooper.
He had to get screamed at by Bo Pelini right in his face on the national television.
Yeah.
And he didn't, you know what he didn't do? He didn't freak out and, like, I don't know, tear all his clothes off like, who was that, Antonio Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little
walked off the
ridiculous,
field. But you know what I mean? He took Bo Pelini screaming in his face and the
he took it
finger
like
pointing.
he took it
shit.
like a took it
He
like
did.
a pro.
I think there were some elements of him that were, maybe a little immature, but I think that instance. I mean, I think at times he was very mature beyond his years.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Walker says he took us to 3. He did correct in future comments. Is actually 2 conference championships, or conference championship games, I should say. None of them, unfortunately, went the way we.
Both of them are a little rough.
Let's see. I had another few comments. Here we go. This one made me chuckle when I read it. Taylor had the motion of a caveman throwing a spear, but he was fast before the ankle injury.
That's true.
It wasn't pretty, and sometimes it got where it needed to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you talk about, Kansas State, that Thursday night game against Missouri, I'm pretty sure it was Thursday night. And then while it was not in a winning effort, that run that he had against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship was
early on.
Yeah.
Before the wheels fell off, was really something to. It was quite a spectacle. Guy had maybe just quarterback wasn't his. Maybe he shouldn't have been quarterback. With that kind of, because he had great speed, he had great breakaway speed, and I think he had nice straightaway speed as well. I mean, I know.
I don't know where you put him though.
He could throw the ball.
Let's think about that.
We didn't have anybody else that could actually throw the ball then.
No, well, not only that, but let's talk about that. Like his height and stature, he was too big for running back.
Yeah,
he was too small for tight end. I think he would have been wasted as a receiver.
Josh says that quote. Not quote. I mean, I'm speaking for Josh here. He says, I saw Taylor at a casino his senior year in Council Bluffs and couldn't believe how slim and tall he was. Looked like a basketball player, not football. Mm. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Well, his brother came out and they were going to have him in the secondary or something, right?
Yeah. I think he walked on. He ended up at Michigan State, I want to say. I
think you're right.
I think after Taylor left, he left for Michigan State.
Lots of good comments here about T-Magic. Roger Moore says Taylor all the way. Fred says T-Mart was a mess, but was still better than A-Mart. And yeah, after that injury and people figured out stop the up the gut quarterback run, he was done. Let's see here. Sid Irish says, I always get the Martinez guys messed up from Nebraska. Oh,
so do we.
I don't know. No offense, Sid, that I probably shouldn't have highlighted that.
They're all to blame for our unanswered prayers. That's why we get them messed up.
Josh says, if you're a 4-year starter, especially a quarterback, I'm sorry, that's a Hall of Fame career.
That's a really good comment.
Yeah, honestly, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm really. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I understand and respect the discourse behind it, but nobody's really giving me a reason why he shouldn't.
You know what? If he was surrounded by the 1995 team instead of Tommy Fraser, we'd have won 4 national titles.
Ooh. Now that's an interesting.
Well, can you imagine him running the option with those guys as well as they executed option plays and a speed option with him? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'll even make this bold proclamation. Tommy Frazier, the only reason he's the greatest quarterback ever is because he was surrounded by all them guys.
We would have had 4 straight national titles.
Yeah.
If he would have started instead of Scott Frost.
Yeah.
We would not have lost Arizona State. He would not have been tackled in the end zone.
Right. He would have just flew down the field 99 yards.
Yes. If he was there instead of Scott Frost, we would have, and there would have been no Michigan share title. because he would not have put us in a position where we'd have to go against Missouri in overtime. How's that?
That's it. And then we wouldn't have to hear that. Well, if he didn't catch that pass, the guy kicked.
Exactly. It would have been 4 straight national titles, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And he probably would have had another 2 national titles as our head coach in the last 5 years.
I don't know, dude. I think he's doing well in real estate.
Is that what he does?
I thought that's what he did. I think he went back to California and got into real estate.
Roger asked, and someday I'll have a graphic for this. I don't have it yet, but Roger asked, "What's tonight's brew?" I'm still drinking this Casey Yingling, so that's the brew tonight. Next week, probably a couple weeks after that. If it's gone by football season, I'll be happy. I'll be sad, but I'll be happy too, because that means that I actually had time to drink. All right, so we talked about T Magic. He certainly was not the only one. And I don't know. I don't think we're going to spend this equal amounts of time on all these guys, because otherwise we'll be here till midnight, and John's old, and Patrick's probably got to make calls back to Tokyo, and I'm sleepy. Spencer Long, the offensive guard, a 3-year starter, second team All-American in 2012. See, with him, as this is, again, their write-up, courtesy of the press release, with Long manning an offensive guard position, the Huskers ranked among the nation's top rushing offenses in each of his 3 seasons as a starter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on. I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go. David Clark, from the defensive tackle from 78 to 80. John, can you tell us anything about David Clark?
No.
Okay. Congratulations, David.
Yeah, 3-time letter winner. Clark had a standout senior season in 1980. 40 tackles, including 9 for loss as a senior, recovered 2 fumbles.
All first team All Big 8 selection, and honorable mention All-American. Then there's Troy Dumas, the linebacker from 91 to 94, 4-year letter winner for Coach Osborne. Played his first 3 seasons in the secondary before moving to the Sam linebacker spot. Had 69 tackles. Nice. 4 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hurries. Helped Nebraska rank in the top 10 nationally in all 4 major defensive statistical categories, and earned first team All Big 8 honors for his play. The two, as we get here, this guy, not only, I think he's recently retired, maybe within the last couple of years, from the NFL, and now his son is on the radar. That's Sam Koch, the school record holder for season punting average. First team All Big 12. He was the semifinals for the Ray Guy Award. A 16-year NFL career with the Ravens. The only part about that I don't like is that it's the Ravens, because I'm a Steelers fan.
Nobody cares.
Patrick, that's hurtful. Go Kyle Vanden Bosch. He was damn good.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I just thought somebody would want to say something about one of the greatest punters in Nebraska history, but I guess not. What? Kyle Vanden Bosch played in 50 games in his Nebraska career and totaled more than 140 tackles, including 34 tackles for loss and 13 sacks. In his senior season, Vanden Bosch had 17 tackles for loss and 26 quarterback hurries. He's a 2-time second-team All-Big 12 selection, a 3-time Pro Bowl selection during a 12-year NFL career. Off the field, Vanden Bosch was a recipient of the National Football Foundation's Dratty Trophy, commonly referred to as the Academic Heisman. Defensive end Kyle Vanden Bosch, 1997 to 2000.
The 2 that I think are probably like the most obvious, and I'm kind of surprised they're not in it already, is Troy and Kyle. I would say out of everybody, they probably had the most solid of careers.
True.
And, just in terms of not just what they did, on the field, but just the accolades that surrounded them. Troy was great watching growing up, and Kyle, I mean, that guy was a beast. He was a straight up beast. Yeah.
We would take any one of these motherfuckers right now.
Yeah.
We would take David Clark at defensive tackle, even if he's fucking 60 years old. He can go play.
Josh says that the VDB is criminally underrated. But the on-3 guys were saying the Hall of Fame works a little different. It's not a slight to go in later. Maybe just may have just been because when he qualified, he was actually still in. I don't know. That's probably a good comment that I think fell apart on the backside.
Yeah, it started out well.
Yeah, try harder next time, Josh.
Yeah. No, but he's right. Like Vanden Bosch, I mean, I'm kind of surprised to say this. Yeah, he is kind of underrated for some reason. That doesn't sound right. But
he's underrated
he's
because there were a lot.
He should be.
Yeah, there were a lot of other guys on those teams too.
Oh yeah, well before and he's kind of surrounded by guys before him and after that were phenomenal. So it's for some reason you don't talk about him the way we do others, and that's unfortunate.
Hey John, I need you to read this next comment when I put it up there. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
It's Fred Sacco says Greg's pretend broadcaster voice probably gives John a slight chubby. Greg was a broadcast radio guy for a few years in his earlier life.
10 years.
So.
10 years.
The pride of Chadron, Nebraska, right?
Home of the Cardinals, voice of the Cardinals.
I think that most of us could actually do a broadcaster radio voice guy every once in a while, couldn't we?
We should just finish the show with it.
Let's all just do over-the-top radio voices. See how quickly the Chatterfields drop off.
Yeah, they probably would.
Josh says that Kyle Vanden Bosch was underrated because he followed Grant Wistrom.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah,
it is tough too, and that's where, like Jared Crick, maybe in a similar situation.
Yeah, I think he was a year behind. Yeah, he was a year behind Wistrom. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about
Crick was So.
And David Matney, always right, says Fred Sacco never disappoints. So.
Wait, you didn't mention the legends category.
Okay, I'm getting there. Damn. Hold on, let me scroll up to the legends. Okay.
I can't wait for football season. This is getting boring.
Oh God, yeah. You know what's coming up? It's coming up really fast. Big Ten Media Days is next week.
John, you should be able to tell us about some of these because you've been doing the history videos on YouTube.
I have.
So tell us a little bit about old Coach King Cole.
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Well,
old King Cole was. It says in the release, led Nebraska to a 25-8-3 record in 4 seasons, from 1907 to 1910. Cole guided the Huskers.
1910.
Did I say 1910? Well, fucking shit. I can't read worth the damn. Cole guided the Huskers for their 2 first conference championships, winning the Missouri Valley Conference in 1907 and 1910. I can tell you this about those years in Nebraska football. Nebraska football kicked a lot of ass early on. They really were a very, very good team. But the problem they had was that, all of the attention for football was in the Northeast. It was Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Penn, all the way up to like 1910, 1911. And that's where all the coverage was around. In the West, the most prominent schools, Stanford and Cal, were still playing rugby because of the crisis in 1905. And Nebraska, the problem with Nebraska is nobody knew who they were. They knew they were beating teams, but they go, oh, they're not beating anybody. So it actually took us playing Minnesota, because Minnesota started getting recognized very early. And because Minnesota's coach was well known for coming up with offensive schemes, and playing Minnesota early got us recognized. And then, we started playing Notre Dame, I think 1912, 1913, somewhere in there. So, and Notre Dame was so unknown when they first started some of the Eastern teams, the papers would refer to them as being from Illinois. Because they had no idea who they were or what they were doing, and they didn't care. So
might as well have been Holy Cross.
In Nebraska's 1915 team, I think I was going to do a video on maybe we could claim a national title.
Ewald O. Steinem.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. I wrote an article on him a few years ago. You guys should go look for it and read it.
Okay.
Do that.
Sorry.
Josh says 1905, John's second freshman year, if I remember correctly.
You know what I remember about King Cole, Coach King Cole? That son of a bitch could hold his liquor. I'll tell you that right there.
Josh also wanted to know legends, because we were talking about the legends categories. Legends, some of the people on our trophy with Iowa or one of our divisions. That's a deep
I don't know
cut.
how to answer that.
You
We have
know,
the Legends Trophy.
it is the Legends Trophy, isn't
It's a Heroes Trophy, isn't it?
No, it is the Heroes Trophy.
Yeah, Josh,
You know,
See,
come on.
nobody
Over
even
two.
pays attention to that fucking trophy because
For
it's just
for this
corporate
last
shilling.
for this last year of divisions, the Big Ten should just go back to the leaders and legends. Just for that, just old time's sake. Why not?
Let's see here.
But they will never. But the Big Ten should never specify which division is what.
All right. Let's see. I had other things to discuss. I want to touch on this. I came across this earlier today. As we shift away from football for a little while. Don't worry, we're going to come back to it. Take a deep breath, everybody. Nebraska volleyball received a $5 million gift from the 1890 Initiative Collective and Nebraska Crossing Outlet Malls. It is the largest public collective gift to a women's sport in the NIL era. We talk about women can't draw. No, that's just the WNBA. In fact, college volleyball, I think, is continuing to be on the rise, guys.
Okay, here's what happened. Texas bought their fucking national championship in volleyball by taking two of our players. Okay? So it's time to get back and just, if this is going to how it's going to go, then just go fucking get players, buy them, and just stomp the shit out of everybody else. I saw somebody on Twitter ask, what did Wisconsin get? And I wanted to reply on Twitter, hemorrhoids, hopefully.
Nebraska volleyball has not beaten Wisconsin since like 2018, right?
Yeah, what are you, the depressing guy in the room?
No, that's supposed to be John.
That's why we need the nil stuff.
Nilly.
Speaking of depressing, I found the sheet of paper that I had used about 11 months ago to make my 2022 season predictions that had us going 12-0. I found it. Okay. I should frame it.
You should have sent it to Ireland.
It was depressing to know that Pat Fitzgerald's last win came against us in a different continent.
Scott Frost's last Big Ten win was, or no, wait. Yeah, wasn't Scott Frost's last Big Ten win against Northwestern too? Or last win? Last win period. Like they're both wins. Last wins were against each other, right? Isn't that something like that? I don't know.
We beat them 56-7, and then we lost to the same shitty team in Ireland.
But at least our fans got free beer.
Patrick, since you're here, can we talk some basketball?
Yeah,
basketball.
What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know more about this Griesel kid who's going to go play ball in Germany.
He's going to Germany. He should be fine. I don't know anything about German basketball leagues. I don't know how good they are. I'm not going to lie. He's a good point guard. If anybody watched him last year, he's solid. He's nothing, overly special, just based on the pure fact that he didn't make any of the All Big Ten teams. But no, he's solid. He's a good leader on the court. Handles the ball well. He knows how to run offenses very well. He's got enough athleticism to where I think he should be okay over there.
I think German basketball is the same as American basketball, but with panzers. I had to do that.
That's a World War II joke for a lot of people.
You could have laughed, you son of a bitch, you cynical bastard, Patrick.
Do you want me to start spouting out German existential philosophers?
No Nietzsche.
No Nietzsche.
Or that other son of a bitch that the even more horrifying philosopher whose name escapes me right now.
Well, Freud wasn't a philosopher, I don't think. But Freud would tell you why you wanted to. Never mind.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Sam did have a brief touch in Hollywood.
Alabama podcast.
No. Sam, what have you followed Sam in the offseason at all, Patrick?
No, I've just been following just whatever pops up in the World Herald and stuff like that.
Okay.
I once they leave Nebraska, I don't tend to follow them as well as I probably should. I kind of just focus on the next year's team and stuff.
Hey, that's all right. There's a lot of people who
there's only so many hours in the day.
Well, then let's do that. Let's talk about what we know a little bit about the 2023-24 Nebraska non-conference schedule. Because you did a very nice little write-up on coordination.
I did. I think
just
about
today.
120 people have read it. But yeah, no, it's for the first time in a few years, Nebraska actually has a fairly favorable yet quite boring schedule coming up. There's not a whole lot of heavy hitters outside of Kansas State, who made the Elite Eight along with Creighton. Oregon State was in the Elite Eight, I think, in 2021, but last year they didn't do too well. Curious how they're going to be, but outside of that, a lot of barely mid-majors, and most of those teams didn't have anything close to winning records. Nebraska, in all honesty, they should go, like if they pull off some ups, at worst 8 wins, 9 wins at worst, honestly, at this point. Like it's a pretty cupcake non-conference, and outside of 2 games, Kansas State, which we play in Manhattan, and Oregon State, which we play back up in Sioux Falls like we did a few years ago, they're all home. Like it's easy teams that I don't think are going to bring back a whole lot. That just, it should, and I know that kind of stinks. It doesn't help our RPI.
I was going to ask that how
it's not going to help.
Is going to be affected.
The record's going to be nice, but as the season goes on, if those teams don't perform, if they suck as well as they did last year, our RPI is not going to be great. But here's the thing. A lot of this is psychological. Okay. You come out of the non-con and let's say you're 5-6, 7-4, 6-4, 7-3. And if you don't have any good wins, it can kind of wear on you, especially once those winter months come in. And we hit Big Ten play. The last thing you want is kind of a weak psyche. So having enough, coming in with a good, solid winning record, I think is going to do wonders for this team, no matter how good they are. And we haven't had that in a long time. Even last year where we had an okay non-conference and we had that win over Creighton, it's still, there wasn't enough, and there was enough early on in the season, 2-3 games that we should not have lost early on in the season that really, I think just it wears on you as an athlete, especially when you're playing 30-some games a year in basketball. So I think having a solid record should at least help in those games where we do get down and we're not winning. Maybe we'll pull off those upsets like we could have had against Purdue last year. I think that I don't like this schedule from a fan's point of view.
Right.
It's not going to be fun.
No,
it's not going to be a whole lot of great games. It's
right.
going to suck. But if Nebraska just wins, then it'll be awesome, and we'll have a lot to look forward to in the Big Ten conference play. So
James Boardman joked, "As long as Immaculate Word is off the schedule, we should be good."
I was thinking about Immaculate Word this morning, or Incarnate Word. Word. I was thinking about them this morning, how like only Nebraska ball fans will know that reference. that was like 10 years ago, but we still reference that as a what the hell game.
I've got this tab saved up because it got mentioned earlier when we were talking about corruption in football programs and things like that. And Gary Barnett, who it said was at Northwestern, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, he was fired from Colorado.
Are you talking about the athletic article?
Well, it got his name got mentioned. But it took me back to, oddly enough, when I was in Shattern and covering this stuff. But yeah, I remember like the recruiting trip, like hookers and blow types of reports and things that were coming out of Boulder, and so he was 86th out of Colorado for impropriety of a different manner. So I don't know what that guy's doing. Hopefully he's just in the mountains somewhere I don't know, smoking grass and staying away from people.
If I didn't have you guys, that's exactly where I'd be.
I was gonna say you just described what John wants to do.
Except I've never been really good at smoking anything. But you got to learn things as you get older, right?
You're supposed to.
Man.
All right, so Blaine says, let's go back to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, let's go back to the Hall of Fame.
Sorry, but I have to say it. A punter in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, my God, Blaine.
Solid.
It's a third of the game. A punter can change the course of a game.
We haven't had a good – how many years has it been since we had a good punter?
How long has it been since Sam Koch was here?
And we probably could have had a lot more wins if we had a solid punter. Last year we had a decent one. The guy from Montana, right? Or was he
that was Samori Torrey was from Montana.
No, that was 2 years ago.
Ryan Bashini.
But we also got a kicker or a punter from Montana last year, and he was solid. But I mean, again, solid. Like Nebraska used to have some really great special team kickers and punters, and we haven't had them in a long time. And I think you noticed that now.
Well, Blaine says Darren Erstad, but Sam Koch was, after Erstad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a bunch. We've had a bunch of good punters after Erstad.
I mean, Alex Henry didn't handle punting, I don't think.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, Erstad
Sam Foltz
here, right?
Yeah, Sam Foltz. He was good.
Yeah.
Oh, friend of the show, Josh, sent me a link earlier, and it was the 100 years of Memorial Stadium, and it was talking. Obviously they're showing the highlights, and they're showing some of those special moments. And one was, that first game back, that first game of the season after Sam's car wreck and the 10 men on the field and the delay of game penalty and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I felt bad that I'd forgotten that moment. And you get to thinking, and I know Nebraska's not the only place that does, things like that, but man, it just makes you think that college football really is something special, and as Husker fans, when we look at, all that we've, I guess, endured, and I say this, compared to John, I'm like, I'm still a little, toddler, football fan or a Husker fan, but for all that this fan base has endured, the triumphs and the tragedies, right? A lot of fan bases, I think, maybe have it nicer or easier, but I don't know if that many have endured what Husker fans have endured
lately.
Well,
I'm not necessarily talking about on the field.
Well, and a lot of that comes from just the pure fact that Nebraska is one of those few teams that was very high on that mountain for a very, very long time. And when you take that away, it's like taking away a drug.
Right.
It's not like and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's not like we were Iowa State, who occasionally has some decent teams, but, like they're only ever been so good. Nebraska has been like the 70s, 80s, 90s were just
pinnacle.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
We're talking multiple generations of Husker fans. That's all That's all I knew growing up. And you take that drug away, it's literally, it's like, what do you do?
Is this why we're all walking around in a haze?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, I most of the time I'm paying attention to other guys that are producing content for Nebraska stuff. So on Twitter or wherever, on YouTube, I mostly am paying attention to like guys that are talking like we are. What are they doing? What are they saying? What are they putting out? And mostly it's just sunshine pumping. And then when you actually start like doing a survey or talking to people or asking people questions on Twitter, they're all kind of like, yeah, we're going to wait and see.
People, as a fan base, we're not gone. We're probably far from gone, if ever. But we're like a beaten puppy.
Yeah.
It's like we don't know who to trust. Like one of the worst things looking back, and I question when people were saying it, was when Scott Frost got hired, and the whole question was, if he can't do it, then who? And even
Right.
back then, I'm like, that's a really bad way of looking at things.
Yeah, it is.
And
It is.
holy crap, we should not have even brought that. You know, hindsight 2020, but like, you know, the fact that we were like, you know, if he can't do it, let's just tear down half of Memorial Stadium and go down to D2. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. A psychologist would have fun with our fan base if they really wanted to dive in.
Well, we want to talk more about how good I think maybe we have it. But first, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, I know John talked about it on Monday night, but on the positive side, on the upside, we got a nice offensive lineman commitment earlier this week. And literally at this point, if I apologize for the rough segues, I'm literally going down my list of things like, oh shit, I forgot to mention that. So from Hawaii, offensive lineman Preston Taumua committed on Monday, bright and early, 5:53 a.m. John was awake putting this article online. John, you're supposed to sleep.
I think he announced it.
Well, what'd you say, Patrick?
Didn't he announce like at 1 a.m.?
Well, you know, it's a good time for Hawaii.
Yeah, 6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I was up early because, you know, I have trouble sleeping. Do you want to hear about my dream I had last night? No, you want to hear about Preston. Preston is like, he's already like 6'5", 315 pounds. So, I mean, his parents are really large people too. You know, he's a 4-star guy. He's the #1 recruit out of Hawaii, which means we pulled #1 recruit out of Nebraska, I think Montana and Hawaii. So
we're definitely hitting various spots on the map.
He's an offensive lineman, which we all complain about.
He had offers from Alabama, Arizona, Auburn, a lot of A schools, and Oregon.
Huh.
So very exciting. Interior lineman, 6'4", 315. The 11th best interior lineman nationally and 207th best player overall. So welcome aboard. No, I got thinking about this last night as I was putting the show notes together. You know, I talk about the trials and tribulations and the tragedies, but I think Nebraska as a school, as an athletic department, is in a good place, and I'll tell you why. San Diego State is stuck in where they are. They're Mountain West now, Mountain West tomorrow, perhaps Mountain West forever. They tried to leave, and they basically had to come back begging and pleading, say, we're sorry. And in doing so, yes, the Mountain West did agree to take San Diego State back, but San Diego State has to pay the legal fees for this month-long ordeal. And the university is also basically, I can't say neuter because the president's a female, but they are I'm reading this from the San Diego Union Tribune. The university also will agree in writing not to retroactively use President Adela de la Torres' controversially worded June 13th letter to invoke a smaller exit fee should it receive an invitation from the Pac-12 or another conference. A lot of turmoil out west, and at the same time that I'm hearing this, I see that the horns down, which we all love because Texas is horrible, is not going to be like thrown a flag on for taunting every time. Like Texas is not going to be able to throw their weight around in the SEC like they did in the Big 12. So, yeah, you know, I think Nebraska's got it okay. They're in a stable conference with a sweet media rights deal. Teams are on the upswing. What do you need, John? I'm sorry. I talked too much.
I don't think the SEC knows what's going to hit them when Texas joins.
What?
It's all that. It's all that whining and crying. Listen. That's how Texas works. They just horns down. We gotta have the games at Jerry World. We need the conference office here. And then you know what you do with somebody that does that all the fucking time. After a while, they just wear you out, and you start agreeing to shit, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You've all been in meetings where some guy just talks and talks and talks in some fucking monotone voice, and he just keeps going on, and you finally just like, Fine. You can have what you want, Brad, because we can't take this anymore. And then they win. That's Texas is going to the SEC. God knows what the SEC. They think they're in charge, but they're going to be sadly mistaken in 2 or 3 years. They're not even going to know how much they've turned over to Texas.
Do you remember the unofficial, the feeling that Nebraska fans anyway got in our farewell tour the last year in the Big 12? How we felt like, we were being shafted. Fred, now's not the time, Fred. I'm cut you off right now. But we felt like we were, like we weren't getting a single call. Josh asked the question, can the Big 12 refs finally treat Texas like they've treated every other team leaving? That would be nice.
I think it'll be interesting to watch.
Now the question is, do they do that to Oklahoma too? Or does Oklahoma get a pass?
Fuck them. No,
Okay.
fuck Oklahoma. Why would they not treat them like that?
I don't know.
Because we like Oklahoma?
No, I just don't think that.
No, that's it, isn't it? We like Oklahoma.
I don't like. I hate Texas. I don't hate Oklahoma. There's the difference.
Oklahoma too. They left us years ago. They chose Texas over us. They chose those whiny, fucking, arrogant, pissant tea sippers over Nebraska. The decent human beings that fill the state of Nebraska. Fuck Oklahoma.
Okay.
I feel better about my life. You know, one thing people every once in a while people go, man, don't you worry about having another heart attack? And I go, no, get it all out, motherfuckers.
This time I'm surrounded by pillows.
You know what? I'm going to throw this one up there. I'm in agreement with Corby. I do want to hear about your dream.
Seriously? Oh my God. You know, when I have dreams and I remember them, they're dreams, man. I was out in the forest and I normally wake up. See, I wear an Apple Watch and I can record stuff on my watch and it goes directly into my journal. A lot of times when I wake up and I have bad dreams or I have dreams that are wild, I just record them. This morning I didn't remember enough of it, but I was out in the woods, you know, like in northern Minnesota woods, and there were a lot of lakes and a lot of, you know, like portage type stuff, you know, where it's not a full
Iron Range.
Yeah, I was that's the environment I was in. And I was, you know, out there and the fish were huge and they kept coming to the surface and they had huge eyeballs, you know, like the fish would be like this big and their eyeballs would be about that big, but they'd come to the surface and they'd start singing.
John,
what were they singing, John?
Freud. I'm going to play Freud here, okay? That fish represents your mother.
And her singing was the lullaby to put you back to sleep.
I don't think so. Because sometimes they were complaining about stuff, you know. Sometimes they were complaining about me, and sometimes they were just complaining about the world. And it was like I was in a whole forest full of fish that were bitching about everything. It's kind of like I came here to relax, you sons of bitches. Kind of funny. You're making the exact same face they did when they came up out of the water. What the fuck?
Well, Corby, I appreciate your comment. I'm glad because my curiosity was also at running pretty high. So thank you, John, for sharing. Thank you for trusting. This is a safe space. So thank you for trusting us.
No, it's not. No, not a safe space.
Oh,
this is how we dupe him into telling us more things.
Paid, for Christ's sake, come on.
All right, let's hit up. Speaking of safe spaces, Wade Farr wants to know: are Nebraska football coaches going to take mental health classes like at Ole Miss?
I don't know. It's not a bad idea.
I don't know why every school doesn't send their coaches to mental health classes.
I mean, I think Wade's probably an older guy like me, and I looked at that and I kind of went, well, that's kind of silly. What the hell you need all this stuff and hear mental health and all this stuff? Listen, we took a world and we built an entire fucking world now of anxiety, and we gave it to everybody. The tech industry that I work in knows how to manipulate people better than anybody else, better than your doctors. And we built all these things and we just gave it to people. And then we're addicted to these things. And then we wonder why, you know, coaches need to take mental health classes. I hope so. I hope they learn how to like take a break and, you know, just learn. Listen, I use a Balance. It's called Balance app on my phone. It's for meditation. And honestly, I take 10-minute naps. I've learned how to actually take 10-minute naps. And I do that so my brain can recover when my headaches get really bad. But, all through my whole life, I thought this was some fruity bunch of bullshit. But if you can just back out of your life and do meditation for a little bit, or what are you laughing at, Greg? God damn it. But, I do think
you said something.
It's not a bad idea.
It was tangentially related to what you said, but it wasn't the meat of it. It was however you phrased it. So I apologize for finding you entertaining. Fred,
I think
by the
it
way,
would do
said,
well for more people to, it would do better for more teams to actually do that kind of stuff. I think when people, listen, I think I've explained this before somewhere, but my entire life in a lot of situations in IT, I was called in to rebuild things that had blown up. Like I'd be told I get a call and I'd just be told, go to this company, and not really much information what was happening. I'd walk in, their whole company would be in disarray. The networks would be all down. I'd walk into a CEO who was screaming at me, and I'd try to recover their systems. And before I started that process, I would always take a moment and I'd pray. Honestly, I'd just say, Lord, help me make the right decisions. And if you think about that, that's a moment of hesitation, or it's a moment, everybody else would call that mindfulness. Everybody else would call that meditation. But it's a moment where you pull yourself out of the situation. And I always make jokes to Todd about cleansing breaths. That's what you do. You just pull yourself out of a situation, calm yourself down, put yourself in a mental state that's good, and you go on with things. And, if you think about like a kicker having to take a kick that wins or loses the game, or a free throw guy at the free throw line, those people, if you can teach people to do that stuff, they are going to be better off, much better off in tight situations than they were before. There you go.
Well,
kind of went on with that, didn't I?
Blaine says the meditation / napping is absolutely beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Fred thinks that sometimes, John, you take 10-minute naps during the show.
That is not lie. You know what? You know what? I don't, but I do go on little short journeys inside my own brain.
All right, I believe every bit of that. Josh prefers coaches who teach classes about pirates and air raids. This is for Mike Leach. So that one gets a thumbs up from Patrick.
We're gonna miss him this year.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
back to your dreams. Fred says, "Bitch and Fish," the next Coronation shirt.
I will be hopefully releasing some. I hope they're very interesting Coronation shirts, and maybe in the next 2 weeks.
John, we need to get weird with those shirts, man.
We
need to get weird.
Wait and see what we come out with in the next 2 weeks, okay?
All right, like seriously, like everybody's got T-shirts, everybody's got basic. Dude, let's get weird with this stuff. Let's get the stuff that people are like, I can't wait to wear this, to hear what my friends say at the tailgate. That's the stuff we want, because it's the stuff that nobody's going to trademark, because it's going to be a niche audience, but you're going to sell more than you're going to sell the basic stuff. You know what I mean?
I went to Kenosha, 1989.
Yes! Yes! Purple and white.
All right.
For the Northwestern game?
Yes!
We need to do that, and we need to advertise that one. Do it, John.
Exactly what we need.
Hello from Kenosha with a giant. Anyway,
I survived the loop challenge.
An eggplant. I think is what the text symbol is, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So 2 comments back to back here that are along the same thing. Talk about meditation or mindfulness and cleansing breaths. Fred says, did our former head coach take a cleansing breath before calling an onside kick? In a split second after that arrived, Josh says, 1 moment of prayer meditation could stop a jackass from an ill-advised onside kick.
The more the time goes on, the more I am convinced that he did that on purpose to lose that game so he'd get fired. I'm not fucking kidding. I think he wanted a $7.5 million bonus and wanted to get the hell out of there. What is your problem?
Patrick, Fred says, I'm your Huckleberry and make some weird shirts. John be damned. Josh says, I went to Kenosha for the dry humping and all I got was this football instruction. That's good.
I love you guys.
James with the 5 Cobb recruit for the 5 corn recruit t-shirt. That was good. MK wants to know, John, do you believe that when you dream you're experiencing what an alternate version of you is actually experiencing in another universe?
Well, I'd never really thought of it that way. I mean, okay, I have to be honest with you guys. That dream I had last night was probably one of the more calm dreams I've ever had. Most of the dreams I have, I am killing and being killed and fighting, and they are terrible, horrible. There is a reason why I sleep in my own bed and my wife sleeps way upstairs. It's because I have sometimes very, very violent dreams, and I would kick her and punch her and all sorts of stuff. So I would hope that this isn't happening. I have died in my dreams. I have died every known way that you could possibly think of. I've been killed. This is getting really weird.
Okay, well, let's move on.
I guess football season needs feetball season needs to start. Feetball season.
Let's get back to feetball.
Notre Dame Navy, first game of the year.
James says the big mistake was firing Callahan too quickly. I used to think it was firing Solich, but after a lot of thought, it was actually the Callahan firing. You may or may not be on an island.
He did this last week. He is trying to start something.
He's the Callahan apologist. Now, Fred says that the fact that Rule and staff reached out to Sam Folt's family to me is huge. Yeah, maybe it's lip service, but still feels like they care.
I think that goes to show that they understand the details. The other guy just said that, and these people actually walk the walk.
Cornhusker Corner, who's here tonight with us as well, says Matt Rule will impress and turn heads at Big Ten Media Day. I expect we'll be favorites to win the West by the beginning of the year. Now, those are some laughing, crying emojis. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that we will be favorites.
The West is wide open. The West is going to be wide open. Let's be honest. I mean, Wisconsin's got a new coach, and they're going to the air raid. Iowa doesn't have an offense, but they've got a phenomenal defense. PJ Fleck's going to lose some games, but he's still going to be a good coach. He's still going to have a very good team. He's recruited very well lately. Bert over in Illinois, dude, the guy's made a team. He's developed a team. It's not Wisconsin. It's definitely not Arkansas, but it's working. Nebraska, new team altogether. Northwestern, let's just let them be for now. My favorite, Purdue's got a new coach.
Yeah.
It's kind of wide open. The West is wide open.
It is. Although all those teams,
Northwestern's the only one I'll say is not going to win it.
No. Iowa has a very easy schedule.
They do. I mean, you're right. You are correct.
Pathetically easy.
Yeah. James agrees and says the Big Ten West will be a lot of fun. Josh says, is Bert losing his defensive coordinator going to make much difference?
Good.
Yes.
Only time will tell.
I think if you go back and you look at Ryan Walters, who's now the head coach at Purdue, I think that Purdue made a good hire for that guy. And, you saw what happened to Fitz when Northwestern lost their defensive coordinator that had been around for years. Yeah. They just went straight into the toilet. Come on, is it Phil Parker? The guy at Iowa.
I can't remember.
I think he's the defensive coordinator. But if he wasn't at Iowa they wouldn't win games. So I think it's hard to bring a person in and just get them going right away. So I guess we're gonna wait and see.
Owen Walker says safe pick. We're 5th place in Iowa are favorites, and I hate it. I don't know if I'd ever put Iowa as the favorite, but
honestly, no.
bias.
Iowa or I would put Minnesota, one of the two, just because they're the two most stable teams.
And you'd have to pick Iowa because PJ Fleck can't beat Kirk Ferentz for some damn reason.
I think that changes this year. I really do. Not that I'm a PJ Fleck guy. James also said Ted Williams had a nice quote that Frost should have taken to heart. When you don't think too good, don't think too much. And that's what caused the onside kick call. That's a good. I've never heard that quote, but that's a good one.
It could have been a lot of Guinness.
Yeah, maybe. As we get to wrapping some comments up here, Fred says, what would the Chatterfield shirt be? John on the toilet surrounded by tears and shattered Sears trophies.
I'm lost on that. Can I have some help?
It's my two biggest videos, I think, were done on a toilet. Thanks for not watching my videos, Patrick.
No, I've watched a lot of your videos. By the way, I missed the tree. Where's the tree?
Before he went to the tree, he was in the bathroom.
Well, okay.
Yeah, okay.
After the Northwestern loss last year, the video, I did the video in the bathroom. And I
remember that now. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because it fit.
That was an epic video.
And let me tell you, I have been in that. I have used that bathroom.
I think we're done.
Oh my God.
Blaine wants to know how many runs do you think Matt Rule has down since arriving?
2.
A lot.
Okay, well, I say somewhere between 2 and a lot. I think that way we're all close.
Only if they're the mushroom ones.
Oh gosh.
Now I want one.
Living in Omaha, David Matney says, does my Coordination Channel membership give me special all-access pass to the Big Ten Media Days? It would if we were going to Big Ten Media Days.
Well,
it's the most boring things ever.
Oh my God, you guys! You know what? You know what? I can't believe that. I am not going to announce this to you guys, but we are going to Big Ten Media Days. Not us three.
Are you taking Bree?
No, I'm not going. I don't think anybody would credential me personally anymore. I'm not even going to bother to ask. But one of our people is going to Big Ten Media Days. I keep waiting him to tell everybody, and I'm not going to steal his thunder.
I'm going to take a guess. Is it Nate?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I know who it is. Am I allowed to guess?
Can we?
Wait,
guess?
Sure. Go ahead.
Aaron?
No.
Ryan.
You both spoke at once and you were both
Andy.
wrong.
Okay, no, Andy.
No, it's Andy.
It is Andy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, his kids are gone. He's at an age where he could pull that off easily. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Well, awesome.
We've had to have discussions about what may be appropriate, what may not be appropriate. Hey, I want you to think about this. Think about this. Northwestern had this giant freaking
Andy's
scandal.
involved. I'm not.
That it's a horrible, horrible scandal. Their president keeps putting out statements, but he's never spoken directly to the press. Their athletic director has disappeared completely and maybe released a couple statements. The first person that will speak to the public about this scandal or after the scandal is an interim head coach.
It's a big ask.
And they're trying to find another coach to fill the assistant role, but I think they're looking for a former head coach to help out.
Yeah, Northwestern, I don't care about them anymore. I hope they lose all their games in every fucking sport they ever play again.
Brian Hula says, FYI on memory lane, currently driving through Goodland, Kansas.
It's flat there.
That's a very good.
Flat. A lot of wheat.
Sawyer Brown song. Very good Sawyer Brown song. All right. Well, I think the last question of the night, and it goes to David Matney, who says, can we pull out a win against Minnesota?
No.
Yeah.
Did you say no, John?
Yeah.
You need to get out of Minnesota.
No. Listen, Minnesota has kicked our ass. I keep saying this. Minnesota's kicked our ass physically for the
Fleck's
past
a good coach.
how many few freaking years. Yeah, I am like the majority of Husker fans. I want to go and see us beat up a team on the field until I'm going to actually say, yeah, we're going to win games. We can do all the lollipotting fucking talking all we want, blah, 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 blah. Until Bryce Benhart can make his blocks against Minnesota in the first game of the season, I'm just going to go, no, we're not going to beat Minnesota. We're going to beat Colorado. We'll beat the other teams in our non-conference, but I don't think we're going to beat Minnesota. Even though they have I think 3 or 4 offensive linemen to replace, that's what they do well.
Minnesota's a perfectly good football team. Are they world beaters? No, but they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. PJ Fleck's a perfectly good coach. Is he all conference coach? Not really. He's a good coach.
He just can't beat Kirk Ferentz.
All right.
He really can't. There's something mentally that happens between Minnesota and Iowa where Kirk Ferentz just owns his ass. Those two teams, when you watch them play, they do the weirdest shit to each other. But I'm not done with the Minnesota thing.
I'm not either. I haven't got a chance to answer it.
Okay, well, just say then.
No, you go, John.
Okay.
Age before beauty.
They have a better quarterback than Tanner Morgan. That's why we lost to him last year when the backup quarterback came in and everybody went, oh, it's a backup quarterback. Me and my rotten son sat here and went, well, shit. Nebraska's going to lose now because that guy can throw the ball better and he can move better than Tanner Morgan did. They don't have any over-the-top receivers, but they have probably one of the best tight ends in the Big Ten and Span Ford. They'll have an offensive line. I don't know what their defense will probably be okay. Mm-hmm. It's a good first test for Nebraska, but I'm not going to say we're going to, you know what? It's not August yet. When it hits August and I get all Kool-Aid'd up, and then,
John, do that again.
No.
Only longer.
I'm not in Kenosha. Anyway. In August, when I get all Kool-Aided up, I'll probably pick Nebraska to beat Minnesota, or something.
And I can't wait. Next week, John, we're just going to give you a pack of Go-Gurts and watch you go to town on them.
God, that's horrifying.
I'm coming back.
You were supposed to say something about Minnesota, Greg.
Yeah. We'll win against Minnesota, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because you can't go 15-0 unless you go 1-0.
Okay. You could say we're going to win against Minnesota because we'll actually have somebody that paid attention to special teams.
Yeah, we're not going to have any ill-timed onside kicks.
Or we might.
I swear to God, if it happens,
come on,
it'll be very bad. I don't know where I was going with that. I puffed my chest up quite a bit, and I'm like, no, I don't really have anything to follow it up. We're still live, but I haven't seen a new comment come in a while, so I think everybody else.
That's because they're in awe. They're shocked.
Shocked.
They're what the hell? What the hell is going on next?
I need to go to bed anyway.
It is about that time. We thank you all, you crazy Chatterfields, for joining us. Thank you, Patrick, for taking time away from your Tokyo inhabiting boss to be on the show with us. John, thanks. Mm-hmm. I know you're. We'll put this as politely as I can, or hit without violating HIPAA too much. We know you're between treatments, so thank you for toughing it out. Mm-hmm. And for everybody that joined us tonight, thank you so much. As I said at the top of the show, we know you have a lot of options for entertainment on a Thursday night, and we do appreciate you spending your time with us. So for Patrick Gerhardt, for John Dam Johnston, our founder and fearless leader, I'm Greg Mahochko. This is the 5 Heart Podcast. We remind you each and every week that 5 Heart is, I shouldn't say each and every week, since apparently you guys take weeks off when I'm out of town. But we remind you every time we're here that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red. My dog is impressed.
Dan Falter lives.